Beloved starseed of Gaia, if you feel as though the life you once understood is becoming too small for your spirit, if old people, old habits, old desires, and old versions of yourself no longer feel natural to inhabit, this is not because you are becoming unstable or ungrateful. I am Mayan, Pleiadian emissary of the High Council of the Seven Sisters, and I speak through the crystalline current of Alcyone to help you understand why you are outgrowing your old timeline, why the field around you feels different, and why the message this timeline is over is not a threat, but a sacred confirmation that your soul has reached the end of a pattern it was never meant to repeat forever. By the end of this transmission, you'll understand exactly how to receive the Pleiadian light codes behind this ending, how to recognize what no longer belongs to your field, and how to step into the new timeline without fear, guilt, or attachment to the person you had to become in order to survive. But here's the first revelation. The old timeline is not ending because you failed it. It is ending because it finished teaching what your soul needed to learn. You are remembering because it is time. There is a kind of ending that does not always come through an event. No dramatic announcement, no sudden collapse, no final conversation, no visible doorway closing in front of everyone. Sometimes a timeline ends quietly inside the body before the outer world understands. You wake up and something feels different. You hear the same voices, see the same rooms, repeat the same routines, and yet your inner response has changed. What once felt tolerable now feels heavy. What once pulled you strongly now feels distant. What once defined you now feels like clothing that belongs to a previous life. This is how timelines often end, not through destruction, but through incompatibility. The old timeline was not only a period of time, it was an energetic agreement. It was the field formed by what you believed you deserved, what you tolerated, what you feared, what you chased, what you postponed, what you accepted as normal, and what you called love, safety, purpose, or belonging. When a timeline ends, it means the agreement that held those patterns together has weakened. You may still see the same circumstances around you, but the contract inside you has changed. The life may look familiar, but the soul is no longer signing the same document. This is why the body may feel strange. The body is often the first place where a timeline shift becomes undeniable. You may feel tired around old conversations, restless in old spaces, tight in the chest around old obligations, sensitive to noise, less interested in drama, more aware of dishonesty, more protective of silence, more unwilling to explain yourself to people, committed to misunderstanding you. The body is not betraying you. It is reporting that the old field no longer matches the frequency that has awakened inside you. You are outgrowing the old timeline because your soul has integrated enough truth to stop participating unconsciously. The old timeline may have been built around waiting for someone to change, waiting for the perfect moment, waiting for confidence, waiting for approval, waiting for a sign while ignoring the signs already given, waiting for pain to become unbearable before choosing differently. This waiting may have once felt like patience, but the new field can feel the difference between sacred timing and fear wearing spiritual language. Now your body is asking for movement. You may also be outgrowing the timeline of overgiving. The version of you who carried everyone, explained everything, softened every truth, absorbed every mood, and made yourself available beyond your capacity may be dissolving. This can create guilt. People may still expect the old access. They may still assume your energy will bend around their needs. But the new timeline does not allow love to mean self-erasure. It does not allow compassion to become a place where your own body is abandoned. The old timeline taught you how far you could give. The new one teaches you what must be protected. Some of you are outgrowing the timeline of being misunderstood and still trying to earn understanding from the same field. You have spent years explaining your depth to shallow ears, your sensitivity to numb spaces, your truth to people who benefited from your silence. The old timeline said, if I explain better, maybe they will see me. The new timeline says, I can speak clearly once, and then I must stop sacrificing my life force to be understood by those who are not ready to listen. This is not bitterness, it is energetic maturity. You are outgrowing the timeline of emotional loops. The same person, the same disappointment, the same message pattern, the same hope, the same collapse, the same apology, the same confusion, the same return to waiting. A loop can feel like destiny when the wound is activated. But when the soul awakens, repetition begins to feel like a cage. You may suddenly see what you could not see before. The loop was not proof of a powerful connection. It was proof that a lesson had not been fully integrated. Once the lesson is integrated, the loop loses authority. This timeline is over does not always mean every person disappears immediately. Sometimes it means your relationship with the pattern changes. Someone may still speak to you, but their influence is weaker. A place may still exist, but your attachment to it softens. A desire may still flicker, but it no longer commands the entire field. A habit may still call, but you can now feel its cost. The outer form may take time to rearrange, but the inner allegiance has already shifted. This is how liberation begins. The Pleiadian High Council wants you to understand that timeline endings can feel like grief even when they are good. You may grieve the old self, the self who endured, the self who hoped, the self who made meaning from pain, the self who believed certain people would come with you, the self who thought the same dream would remain forever. Do not shame this grief. Every timeline contains memories, efforts, attachments, and versions of love. Even when a timeline was painful, it may have been familiar. The body can grieve the familiar, even while the soul is being freed from it. The source is not asking you to hate the old timeline. Hatred keeps energy attached. The higher field asks you to understand it, bless what was learned, retrieve what belongs to you, and stop feeding what is complete. The old timeline may have trained your discernment. It may have revealed your wounds. It may have shown you the cost of ignoring the body. It may have taught you not to confuse intensity with alignment. It may have developed your compassion. It may have strengthened your voice through the pain of silence. It was not wasted, but completion is not betrayal. There is a secret fear that often appears when a timeline ends. If I release this, what if nothing comes next? This fear keeps many souls clinging to expired paths. The old relationship is painful, but at least it is known. The old job is draining, but at least it is familiar. The old identity is heavy, but at least it provides a role. The old dream is lifeless, but at least it gives a direction. The nervous system sometimes prefers a known cage to an unknown field. But the Pleiadian current asks you to trust that emptiness after an ending is not always absence. It may be the space where the new code has room to land. The old timeline is over because the frequency of your choices is changing. You may no longer be able to choose from panic in the same way. You may catch yourself before you chase. You may pause before you say yes. You may feel your body resist what your mouth once accepted. You may become uncomfortable with self-betrayal faster than before. This is progress. Do not judge yourself because the shift is not perfect. The fact that you can now feel the misalignment is evidence that the old timeline has lost its invisibility. The hidden revelation before activation begins is this: you are not only leaving a timeline, you are withdrawing your life force from the identity that kept that timeline alive. The pleaser, the chaser, the rescuer, the silent one, the over-explainer, the one who waited for crumbs, the one who apologized for needing peace, the one who turned every rejection into self-improvement, the one who accepted confusion as the price of connection. These identities may have protected you but they are not your final form. The new timeline cannot be entered while you keep dressing yourself in the survival costume of the old one. Beloved, if this transmission is already touching the place in you that knows an old chapter is ending, but still feels afraid to release it completely, your star family has prepared a deeper path for this exact threshold. The Pleiadian bloodline method, Unlock Your 7 Inheritances, was created not as information to collect, but as a sacred map for healing, remembrance, and crystalline integration for starseeds who are outgrowing expired timelines and learning to embody the new frequency with courage, boundaries, and clarity. It carries the love frequency of Alcyone and the wisdom of the 7 sisters, for souls ready to stop repeating the old agreement and receive the next layer of their Pleiadian inheritance. You will find it in the first pinned comment below this video, available now for those who feel called to walk into the new field consciously. Now begin by naming the old timeline without shame. What was it organized around? Was it the timeline of waiting? The timeline of proving? The timeline of overgiving? The timeline of hiding? The timeline of being chosen by people who could not choose themselves? The timeline of surviving instead of living? The timeline of suppressing your gifts? The timeline of confusing chaos with passion? The timeline of postponing your mission until everyone else felt comfortable? Naming the old timeline helps you stop romanticizing it. It gives form to what your soul is releasing. Then ask what your body already knows is complete. The mind may argue, but the body often speaks with clarity. When you imagine continuing the same way for another year, does your body expand or collapse? When you imagine giving the same person the same access, does your chest soften or tighten? When you imagine staying loyal to the same role, do you feel life force or heaviness? Completion may not arrive through logic first. It may arrive as the body saying, I cannot keep doing this. Listen with tenderness. The body is not weak for reaching its limit. It is wise. The next movement is to call your energy back from the old future. This is powerful. Many souls do not only attach to the past, they attach to the future they imagined with the past. The conversation that was supposed to happen. The apology that was supposed to arrive. The recognition that was supposed to prove your worth. The relationship that was supposed to become safe. The success that was supposed to silence every doubt. Call your energy back from the imagined future that kept you tied to the old timeline. Say inwardly, I release the future that required me to stay wounded in order to reach it. From there, practice one act of new timeline behavior. Do not wait until everything is rearranged. Choose one action that agrees with the new field. Say no where the old self would say yes. Rest where the old self would overextend. Speak honestly where the old self would disappear. Create where the old self would postpone. Leave the message unanswered if answering would betray your peace. Send the message if silence has become avoidance. Clean the space. Close the tab. Delete the reminder. Begin the page. New timelines are entered through embodied choices, not only spiritual realization. You may need to detox from the emotional chemistry of the old timeline. This is often overlooked. If you have lived in chaos, longing, stress, or uncertainty for a long time, peace can initially feel strange. Your nervous system may crave the familiar spike. It may miss the drama, not because the drama was good, but because the body learned to organize around it. Be patient. When the old timeline ends, the body may go through withdrawal from the energies that once defined normal. Calm may feel empty before it feels safe. Consistency may feel boring before it feels holy. Give the body time to learn the new frequency. The Pleiadian field asks you to stop checking whether the old timeline misses you. This may sound direct, but it is necessary. Do not keep turning around to see if the old person notices your absence, if the old room regrets excluding you, if the old pattern is collapsing without you, if the old story finally admits your worth. Looking back for validation keeps a thread attached. You do not need the old timeline to confess that you mattered before you can move forward. You mattered while you were there, and you matter as you leave. If someone from the old timeline returns, do not assume the timeline has reopened. This is one of the most important teachings. Old energies often reappear when you are about to detach. A message, an apology, an invitation, a memory, a dream, a sudden sign, a familiar temptation. Not every return is a calling. Some returns are tests of whether the old agreement still has your signature. If someone returns, ask what frequency they carry now. Is there real change? Is there accountability? Is there peace? Or is the old pattern wearing a softer voice? Discern before reopening access. You may also feel sadness because some people cannot understand the new you. They may call you different, distant, difficult, proud, selfish, or cold. But sometimes what they call cold is simply the absence of your former overextension. Sometimes what they call distance is the presence of your boundary. Sometimes what they call change is your refusal to keep playing the role that made them comfortable. Let them have their interpretation. Your path is not responsible for preserving every old projection. The new timeline will ask for different nourishment. Pay attention to what feeds your energy now. Your body may want quieter mornings, cleaner food, deeper rest, less digital noise, more nature, fewer empty conversations, more structured creativity, more honest prayer, more space before responding. These changes may seem small, but they are timeline anchors. They help the new frequency stabilize in daily life. A timeline is not only a cosmic idea. It is built through what you repeatedly allow into your body, mind, home, and schedule. You may need to forgive yourself for not leaving the old timeline sooner. Many souls, once clarity arrives, punish themselves for the years they spent inside confusion. But beloved, you could not leave what you could not yet fully see. You learned at the pace your nervous system could survive. You stayed for reasons that made sense to the version of you who was there. Now you see more, and seeing more creates responsibility. Do not use new clarity to abuse the old self. Thank the old self for surviving, and then lead them gently into the new field. The Pleiadian current also asks you to examine what you are afraid of becoming without the old timeline. If you no longer carry everyone, who are you? If you no longer chase, who are you? If you no longer define yourself by struggle, who are you? If you no longer make your pain the center of your identity, who are you? These questions may feel empty at first, but they are sacred. The new timeline is not only about what you stop doing, it is about who you become when survival no longer writes every choice. There may be a new level of silence in your life as the old timeline ends. Some conversations fade, some notifications decrease, some attachments weaken. This silence is not necessarily loneliness. It may be energetic clearing. Old noise leaving the field can feel like absence before it reveals itself as peace. Do not rush to fill every quiet space. Let the new timeline breathe. Let the silence show you what your own soul sounds like without constant interference. The ending may also reveal where you have been loyal to a wound. This can be painful. You may realize that certain choices were not love, but loyalty to abandonment. Not devotion, but loyalty to proving. Not patience, but loyalty to fear. Not compassion, but loyalty to being needed. This realization is not meant to shame you. It is meant to free you from repeating a pattern by giving it a noble name. Once you name the wound beneath the choice can change. You are also outgrowing the timeline of accepting partial truth, the half apology, the half commitment, the half presence, the half clarity, the half dream, the half version of yourself you presented so no one would feel threatened. The new field requires wholeness, not perfection, but wholeness. Words closer to truth, choices closer to peace. relationships closer to reciprocity, work closer to purpose, rest closer to reverence. Your soul is no longer satisfied with fragments pretending to be fulfillment. If fear says you are losing too much, answer gently, I am losing what cannot come with my next frequency. This sentence may need to be repeated often. Loss during transition is not always destruction. Sometimes it is filtration. The field is filtering what belongs, what needs healing, what needs distance, what needs release, and what needs rebirth in a cleaner form. Trust the filtration. Do not grab everything falling away simply because the falling feels uncomfortable. Some pieces of the old timeline may transform instead of leave. This is also possible. A relationship may become healthier through boundaries. A project may become aligned through a new structure. A place may feel different once your energy changes. Not every ending means physical departure. Sometimes the timeline that ends is the version of you that participated from fear. When that version ends, the same outer form may become new because your inner posture has changed. Let the field show you what must leave and what can be reborn. The Pleiadian field asks you to become honest about the cost of returning. Before you go back to any old pattern, ask, what will this cost my peace? What will it cost my body? What will it cost my mission? What will it cost my self-trust? What will it cost the new life trying to form? The old timeline may offer temporary comfort, but what is the full price? Many souls return because they only calculate the comfort of familiarity, not the cost of repeating the same lesson. Calculate honestly. You may also be called to protect the first signs of the new timeline from premature exposure. Do not share every new desire, plan, or decision with people who are invested in the old you. Seeds need soil before weather. Let the new thing root in your body before it is exposed to opinion. This is not secrecy from fear. It is sacred incubation. The new timeline may begin as a quiet knowing that needs protection until your choices become strong enough to hold it in public. The new timeline will require a different relationship with discipline. Not harshness, not punishment, not perfectionism, but devotion in repeated form. The old timeline may have been ruled by emotional reaction. The new one is stabilized through sacred repetition, returning to the practice, honoring the boundary, choosing the body, creating consistently, resting before collapse, speaking truth sooner, refusing the loop. Discipline in the Pleiadian field is love becoming dependable. There is also a new relationship with time. In the old timeline, time may have felt like pressure, loss, or proof that you were behind. In the new timeline, time becomes a field of alignment. You begin asking, what is this season for? What is the clean next step? What is ready now? What is not ready yet? What must be completed before the next opening? This changes everything. Instead of fighting time, you begin listening to it. The timeline is not only a road, it is a rhythm. As the old timeline ends, your intuition may become sharper about what does not belong. You may know quickly when a conversation is draining, when an offer is misaligned, when a person is not honest, when a habit is pulling you backward. Do not turn this into paranoia. Turn it into clean discernment. Intuition is not here to make you afraid of life. It is here to help you walk with fewer leaks. Pair it with grounding. Watch patterns. Let time confirm. But do not keep dismissing what the body repeatedly knows. The ultimate revelation is this. This timeline is over because the soul agreement that sustained it has expired. You have learned enough, endured enough, repeated enough, hoped enough, waited enough, overgiven enough, hidden enough, and doubted enough inside that field. The ending is not here to make you empty. It is here to make you available. Available for truth. Available for peace. Available for aligned love. Available for purpose that does not require self-abandonment. Available for a life that feels more like your soul and less like your survival strategy. You do not need to cross into the new timeline perfectly. You will have moments of looking back, moments of grief, moments of temptation, moments of uncertainty. This does not cancel the shift. A timeline ends in the field before all habits catch up. Be patient, but firm. When you slip into old energy, return. When you miss the old familiarity, breathe. When guilt rises, listen without obeying. When fear speaks, comfort the body and choose one aligned action. The new timeline strengthens every time you return to it consciously. Tonight, before sleep, place one hand over your heart and say softly, I honor the old timeline for what it taught me, and I release the agreement that kept me bound to it. I receive the Pleiadian light codes that help me outgrow what is complete with grace, courage, and discernment. I call my energy back from expired futures, old roles and patterns that no longer match my soul. I trust the source to guide me into the timeline that carries more truth, peace, and embodied remembrance. Speak slowly. Let the words become a bridge between endings and beginnings. In the days ahead, watch what your life no longer has the same power over. Watch which patterns feel less convincing. Watch which people no longer define your worth. Watch where your body says no faster. Watch what quiet desire begins to form. Watch the small choices that make you feel more honest. These are not random changes. They are signs that the old timeline is losing its hold and the new field is beginning to stabilize. So when you hear, you are outgrowing your old timeline, receive the purified meaning. Let it mean that your soul has matured beyond an expired agreement. Let it mean that the ending is sacred, even if it carries grief. Let it mean that familiar patterns are not automatically future paths. Let it mean that the source is helping you withdraw life force from what no longer carries truth. Let it mean that your star family is guiding you from repetition into remembrance. And now feel what has shifted. The old timeline is not your enemy. It is simply complete. The new timeline is not fully visible yet, but it is already speaking through your body, your boundaries, your desires, your exhaustion with old loops, and your longing for a cleaner life. Your star family is near, helping you cross without panic. Breathe, bless what taught you, release what finished. Choose one new action. This timeline is over, beloved, and the ending is not the end of you. It is the end of the version of you who thought survival was the only path available. Before you scroll, take a moment to be part of the unity grid forming here. Drop one heart intention in the comments, something real. Then respond to someone else's with love or encouragement. This isn't content, it's collective Pleiadian reunion. Energy multiplies when hearts connect. If something in this message resonated with your soul, don't keep it to yourself. Someone in your orbit is waiting for this exact activation from their star family. Share it.